Hello, everyone. Okay, so I am going live to a couple different platforms and we're going to try this out. Uh-oh, a little bit of feedback. Okay. All right. So, hello. I am super excited to connect with everyone. I just finished up last week, I think it was. I finished up my 10-day challenge that I had called I Am Love. And this challenge really took us from understanding our own self. And when I talk about this self, it's the self that is driven by the ego. It's the self that intellectualize our experiences of life. And this part of ourselves is critically important. It's part of the human experience that we are having. And so we really worked on getting to know the what I call the small self. It's often considered that in some spiritual teachings, the small self. This is the egoic self, the intellectual self, and having an understanding of who we are at that level of awareness. And as we moved along from day to day, what we did was really work on our connection to what is considered our highest self, our deepest I, the awareness of all that is. And one of the things that in my conversations with folks, and just even in my recent conversations, it was around trust and our intuition. See, we are all born with an inherent ability to connect. We are born with the inherent ability to intuitively tap into our inner knowing. The problem somewhere along along the road is that we, number one, are told that we don't know what's best for ourselves. And so we get messages from people who love us, who care for us, and it's not ill intended. It just happens in these little tiny messages. And so we start to not trust ourselves. We start to not trust our intuition. And for those of us who've experienced some significant traumas in our life, we don't trust or didn't trust, or we lost trust in the people who were supposed to care for us and love us and protect us and keep us safe. And so if we are mistrusting of the closest people to us, it's often difficult for us to trust ourselves, right? We maybe have not gotten the message to trust ourselves. Why this is important is because it's part of the journey of going inward and beginning to trust the intuitive hits that we get, the connections that we make with spirit or consciousness or source or whatever you call that energy that encompasses all that is. We When we don't trust those little messages, it's really hard to really tap into your intuitively consciously. Now, unconsciously, you're getting hits all the time. You're getting sensations, you're getting that gut feeling, you're getting that, oh, that just, I knew I needed to do this and I just didn't. Like you're getting that all the time. It's at an unconscious level. And so to bring that to unconscious awareness, but even more importantly, to be able to tap into that intuitive nature that you already have. So many of us who provide guidance, spiritual guidance, we do, use cards or we use tarot or we're intuitive or mediums or psychics or whatever you call all of us. One of the things that I am very honest in telling you is that I'm not going to tell you anything that you don't already know. At some level, at the deepest level of who you are, you know exactly what I'm going to tell you. And even some, you're consciously aware of it. You're like, yeah, I totally know I need to do this instead of that. I'm just struggling with stepping into that decision, or I'm struggling with stepping into my own power. So, my role is to help you be able to identify what is getting in your way. What are the obstacles that are getting in the way of you being able to tap into your intuitive nature? Because you have the answers. What happens is it gets boggled down by our intellectual knowing and understanding of things because we put meanings, we make meanings of the things that we experience. And so when something's happening, we're all up in our head about it. We over obsess over it. We try to figure out the connections between this, that, and the other. And the key, really, when we're making decisions or we're trying to figure out, okay, what is it that's best for me in this moment? The key is tapping into the body. It's tapping into your spirit. It's tapping into not just your intellectual knowing. I think our intellectual knowing cycle keeps us in this running cycle. It's like this hamster wheel that we can continue to stay in, and we get stuck there. We get stuck there. And so this is where healing comes into play. Our healing journey and our ability to connect with our emotional state, to be able to connect with our physical state, those that ability to really step into our wholeness. That's really what we're doing. When we begin to heal those parts of ourselves, we step into this wholeness. And in this wholeness, we can begin to trust ourselves. Begin to trust ourselves. Now, I recently had a conversation with somebody, and I come from generational trauma, and I'm very open about this. So if you don't know my story, I've got lots of videos about my background and my story, but I come from generational trauma. And one of the things that happened with me is I was very mistrusting. I was mistrusting of people in general, but especially men. And so I was super mistrusting of the world. And one of my friends recently said to me, Isela, you're so trusting of people. And you know what I find really interesting is I didn't used to be. I didn't used to be, but now I trust my intuition. So when I meet somebody or I engage in a conversation with somebody, I'll get a sensation. Now, I don't intentionally lean into anyone. So I'm not, because there's all kinds of wrong when to do that. So I don't lean into people intuitively, intentionally. What I do is I just get a sense, and we all do, right? You meet somebody and you're like, whoa, this is, this connection feels good. It feels right. Oh, I feel like I've known you before. Do we know each other? It's that weird sensation that totally could be a past life experience. And so I've learned to trust that. So it's not that I'm just trusting in general. It's just I trust my intuition. So when I meet you and I'm connecting with you and we're having this amazing conversation or this just amazing connection, we may not even be in dialogue. We may just feel super, super connected with one another. I trust that. I trust that. And so the more and more you practice trusting with people who have earned the right, in your relationship with them, in your conversations with them, the more and more you do that, the more and more you can become trusting of yourselves. But see, the thing is that we are intentionally taught, and that's a whole nother talk, but we are intentionally taught to be mistrusting of the world. We are intentionally taught to be mistrusting of each other. We are intentionally taught that. And so if you have the stories of your life experience on top of the things that we are exposed to and the things that we're taught, it's really hard to trust. And that trust includes ourselves. We all already have the answers. The problem is that it is filtered through a lifetime of experiences that maybe were not so great. And so that's where we get lost. We get lost in what to do because we're filtering through those experiences of life. Okay. All right. So follow me if you don't already. I'm going to really delve deeper into this intuitive, understanding our intuition and how we lose sight of that. And I'm talking like from the time we're born, from the time that we're born, messages that we give to our children unknowingly. We don't, most people are not doing this intentionally, but we unknowingly teach children how to not trust themselves. Okay. So we're going to go down this journey of really helping. I'm going to help you learn to begin to trust your own knowing, because that's what this is about. There are a lot of us who are spiritual teachers. There are a lot of us who do this type of work. And what it comes down to is not what I'm telling you. What it comes down to is tapping into your own inner knowing and being able to really align with that. And once you can align with that flow, once you align with that experience, you'll start to see miracles happen. And I used to be one of those folks who were like, what do you mean miracles happen? I don't even understand what this miracles happen thing. What is that about? Well, miracles are these unexpected experiences, and they could be connections with others. It could be something dynamic and incredible happening in your life. It could be just something falling in your lap. And I will tell you that miracles happen. The problem is we're usually going upstream against the flow instead of going downstream with the flow. We make our lives much more difficult than it needs to be. And so what I hope to be able to offer to you as we journey together is the opportunity to really be reflective of your own experiences. Everyone comes with their own wealth of knowledge and understanding and awareness, and recognizing what are the obstacles that are keeping you from just trusting and going with the flow. Okay. All righty. So I'm going to do some cards today. Let's set the intention for this week. I am working on getting on here weekly so that we can connect and really set some intentions. And my plan is to give a little mini lesson and then do some cards. Okay. So I would love it if you stuck with me. I'm trying to figure out where my mouse just went. It went away. I see you, Sally. Hi. I'm so glad you're here. I hope all is well. Hi, Esperanza. I have a couple different, I'm looking at a couple different platforms here because I'm going across 3 platforms right now. I am on Instagram, I am on Facebook, and I am on YouTube. And so I'm trying to make sense of all of them in front of me. So let's go to do some cards, okay? So once again, the thing that I'm going to be working on and sharing with you all is intuition, how to tap into your intuition. And when I talk about intuition, it is your inner knowing. It's your inner wisdom that we all have that's deeply inherent within each and every one of us. How to filter that outside of, well, how to experience that outside of the filters that we all have, because we cannot objectively have an experience. Everything is a subjective experience because it is our experience. And so it's helping you be able to kind of lean into your intuition, begin to trust that. And I will tell you, that's where my mediumship skills come from. So when people talk about them being sort of separate from one another, I think psychic abilities and mediumship are 2 separate things. Psychics are on this plane. I think all mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are mediums. But we are tapping into our own intuitive nature when we do that. Okay. But you can consciously do that. Let's go and pick some cards. 1, 2, or 3, or 4. 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. So pick a card. And if 1 and 2 resonate, 3 and 4, or just 4, you pick what you want. Okay. All right. And just so you know, in case you don't know, I have my own deck of cards, Love Being. It's my own deck of cards. I do have probably 10 still on hand. The rest of them are sold out so far. And and I will be ordering a much bigger shipment as soon as there's a need to. So once I do have a need, I will go ahead and order new cards. Now, I will tell you this is the most inclusive deck you'll ever see. People have asked me questions about the angels because the angels are people of color, or in the images they are people of color, and I will tell you that's the way I see them. I see them based on my own experiences, because angels are essence. They don't have human form. And so I see them this way. Okay. All right, here we go. Card number 1. Card number 1. Card number 2. Card number 3. Okay. And card number 4. All righty, here we go. Number 1, I declare my worth. Number 1 is I am. The message here, and hold on, let me make sure that I'm getting this correctly, because there's lots of different angles we can go with this, but hold on. Okay. So if you chose number 1, your key message for this week is really to step into your power. They're wanting you to do they're wanting you to really reflect on the things that are important to you. It's kind of like doing a data dump, a brain dump of all of the things that are swimming around inside of your head. It's almost like you're getting stuck just because I was experiencing this. Actually, this might be for me too, where there's so many things that you need to do. There's so many moving parts that it feels so overwhelming that you kind of stall out. And so they want you to take an inventory of all the things that you need to get done, and then set aside the things that you want to get done, but aren't necessarily the things that are super important right now. These things can wait till next week. These things can wait till, 2 weeks from now. But really prioritize the things that, there are two parts to this. Prioritize the things that do need to get done, but prioritize some things that bring you joy. This I am is a declaration. The I am is your conscious awareness of all that is. Okay. This is your connection to spirit. This is your connection to consciousness. This is your connection to source. And the I am is the divine connection that we bring into our experience of of life. But if we have so many things swimming around in our intellectual experience, we have a really hard time tapping into that inner wisdom, the inner guidance, again, consciousness. So take an inventory and give yourself permission to step into your personal power. There's somebody who either is watching or will be watching this later today who struggles with their personal power. So personal power means like you show up, like take up space, and it's important that you do that. And you don't have to ask permission, and you don't need validation from others. Truly, truly step into your own personal power. Okay, number 2 is sacred contracts. Sacred contracts is I stay curious about the greater purpose. Okay, give me just a second. Okay, so sometimes our role and our responsibility in the lives of others is really to be influential, not necessarily to guide or direct, but rather to be influential and to be able to share your wisdom and then let go of the outcome, let go what you think they should do, let go of the expectations that you have of others. It's like these are the experiences that I can control. And I recognize that somebody else's path, somebody else's journey is a sacred journey. It may not be what I would want to do or what I wish for them, but part of our responsibility when we do come into contract, because these sacred contracts are decided upon before we came into this form. And so what this means is that you entered upon sacred contracts with souls, with other souls that you are connecting with in this lifetime. Now, this might be close relationships. It could also be people that you work with. It could be people that you have maybe an acquaintance type of relationship with them and not necessarily a close relationship. But what they're saying is that you have to let people have their own experience of life and recognize that within this sacred contract, there's a reciprocity in it. So part of it is you providing and nurturing and supporting and guiding and maybe all of the things that you do either within a relationship, close relationship, or even I'm leaning into work, like the work that you offer or coaching or supporting or whatever, but there's a lot going on there that I get to show up for others in all the ways that I do, but I also am experiencing my own reflective nature. I'm experiencing my own my own opportunities for learning. I'm experiencing my own that whole guiding sort of these guiding experiences that come from a deeper part within us. So there's a reciprocity within the relationship that you have with others. And that's a significant thing to remember in terms of our sacred contracts. They also want me to point out that this is also true for our children, the children that we have, and also our role as a child. If you have a relationship with with your family, there's a contract there as well. So be mindful of your role, responsibility, and that you're giving respect to their own sacred journey. This is really important if you're in a situation um, uh, where we get taken advantage of, or that we want to do more than where we should. Okay. All right. Number 3, music. Music. I vibe with the rhythms of sound. More recently, this keeps coming up. Music keeps coming up a lot. And there's actually so much more information coming out about vibrational frequency. And I don't know if anyone saw Terrence Howard's, where he breaks down the elements and he talks about how they are built on this wave of frequency. we have just tipped like the little tiny bit, like we're just starting to understand the incredible nature of sound and frequency and the power that it holds. Music is our way to connect to this because we consciously understand the rhythm of music. And so here's, oh my goodness, I just heard a very clear message that I just got was, if you chose 3, you really need to dance with abandon. And what I mean by that is crank up the music, whatever music vibes for you. You know, if you're vibing with, I don't know, some sort of piano, like that kind of thing, if you're vibing with whatever music, like it could be, Latin music, it could be music from Africa, the roots of Africa, you just amazing music, crank it up and just let yourself loose, let yourself dance. Part of what's happening, again, there's a vibrational frequency that comes with music, but there's another little piece. The movement of the body helps us move some of the energy that gets stuck in our body. And so it's important for us to really relish in the experience of music, have this appreciation for it, like from the heart space. Feel that appreciation for the music that you're listening to, and let your body just let loose. Just be in the moment. So if you chose number 3, I'm hearing you really need to just have that experience, okay? Let yourself loose, right? Just dance. All right. And I'm sorry. I was like, love being. Archangel Raphael is number 4. Archangel Raphael is the angel of physical and emotional healing. Archangel Raphael, just so that you can see him, this is how I see him. um Ra- Ra- Archangel Raphael is really there for us as we transition through periods in our lives that we need extra support for healing emotionally. This is when we are, it's a journey. It's a journey of experiences, emotionally getting connected to the hurt, the pain, the past, and all of the stories that encompass our experience of life. And sometimes that can be really heavy. Archangel Raphael is there to help us, guide us, and to just help us feel nurtured and protected and safe. You can ask him to be with you. The other thing that he does is physical comfort. Well, let me tell you a quick story. So my daughter recently had a lumpectomy. My daughter is 16 years old, and I stepped away from social media for a couple weeks, just because we had a lot of things going on, and it was also preparing for this. So she has a lump in her breast, and we don't know for sure if it's benign. We'll hopefully get those results this week. But my daughter, as she was getting prepped for surgery, I literally could see, like, the doctor walked in and I saw Archangel Raphael standing right next to her. And I saw this, like, nurses were coming in and out, and I can feel there's this team of medical, and this is oftentimes folks don't talk about this, but there are like these ancestors of for medicine, and they come from all generations and history, and so you see everything from, like, doctors as you would see doctors, but then you also see like medicine people, like people who are like shamans, and then like they're with doctors, and they're like in the operating room, and I see that. And so while they're walking in, I see these spirit basically is what we call them usually, but I see them like looking over their shoulders, looking at the paperwork. They're there. So as I was, in there preparing and connecting with them, there was this sense of ease that I had, because I knew there's a team. There's not just a team here who are doing the work, but there's a team on the other side that are guiding the experience. And so my daughter, like I said, she's only 16. And when your child is put under anesthesia, that's the part that's scary to me, is when they have to go under, because, you never know, right? And we've been very, very fortunate, and she's been very limited in any kind of medication that she's not done like antibiotics. We've never had to use antibiotics in her entire life. So when she goes under like that, like I don't know if she's allergic to things. Like I don't know because she hasn't been exposed to too many things. And so that part was really kind of scary for me. But when I look to see all of spirit just helping and being there from the other side, there's this sense of calmness and relief that I felt in that experience. And this is who I tapped into, was Archangel Raphael. As we were driving there, I'm connecting and saying, this, I'm surrendering to this experience. I can't control it. I can't change it. I can't make anything happen. I can just simply be. And I'm not one to worry. That's just not my nature anymore. It used to be, but worrying is a false sense of control. And so I just kind of released that. And as we were driving there, I just knew Archangel Raphael was there, and he was there to help me from an emotional state as we were having that experience that morning, and then there with my daughter as well. So those are the ways that Archangel Raphael can be there for you. Also, God, there's so many stories I have about Archangel Raphael, but if you have any physical ailments whatsoever, if you have emotional turbulence and you're like, I'm just feeling overwhelmed emotionally right now, I don't know what to do, call upon Archangel Raphael. Ask him to stay with you. The little side note is they can't help you unless you ask them. So they can be present, but they can't actually like support you. And I don't want to say intervening because that's not what they do, but they can't help you unless you ask. So it's important for you to just open up that channel and see if you can just kind of, and this is practice. This is practice. It's like asking him and then just waiting and seeing if you can get, and in the beginning you won't, I promise you, in the beginning you won't. And what will happen is you might get a sensation, you might get like a maybe chills, or you might feel like, oh, I feel like somebody's sitting right here or standing here, or you'll get like maybe a flash in your, it feels like a flash here. But you'll talk yourself out of it. Oh, no, that's not it. I'm making that up. That again is that you mistrust. You're not trusting of yourself. Okay. And so, and you can do this with any angel. You can do this with people who have crossed over. You can ask them, make yourself fully present so that I can feel you as I move through the course of this experience. As I engage in this difficult time in my life, please make yourself present so I know and I can feel your guidance. And then just practice the process of feeling it. Okay. This is why we got to get out of our fucking heads. We got to drop into our form. We got to drop into our bodies, because that's in part how they connect to us. Okay. They connect to us, and they're using all the things that they can, but vibration and frequency and all of sound, even, that's one of the ways that they can communicate with us. But we've got to be aware and now in the present moment and paying attention, or else we lose out. We don't get to see those things. Okay. All right. So that was card 1, 2, 3, and 4. And oh, it's so good to see you too, Esperanza. Thank you so much. And I see you, Emily. Thank you all for joining me today. Here's my plan. I'm planning to jump on once a week. And so I'm going to do cards, and then I'm just going to kind of talk the way I ramble. So come join me. I am on Facebook. I am on YouTube. So right now I am on live and on YouTube and also on Instagram. So I'm going across all 3 of those platforms. I look forward to connecting with you. I also have a small group. It's a small group. I have a group called I Am Loved. It is the Love Being Spiritual Community in Facebook. I invite you to come join me there. I do lots of free stuff. I do readings. I do teachings. We just finished a 10-day session there, which I think was pretty amazing. And it's still up. So if you join us, you can go day 1, day 2 with all of the tasks there and just let us know how you're doing. We'll support you through the process, even if you're watching it after during the replay. So thank you all. Have a fabulous rest of your couple days, and I will jump on in a few and touch base again.